The empty chair across the candlelit table felt heavier than any rejection he had ever known, and when the single dad finally lifted his eyes and noticed the woman 2 tables away sitting alone with the same untouched plate, the same quiet disappointment, and the same question hanging in the air, the night stopped being about a blind date and became about 2 broken paths quietly crossing. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of human connection, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to KNH Stories, because stories like this exist for hearts that still believe life can surprise us in the gentlest ways. He had almost cancelled that evening. Being a single father meant nights like this were rare, carefully negotiated favors with neighbors, and a constant guilt that followed him even when he tried to remember who he was before responsibility reshaped his life. Still, he sat there in a borrowed suit, hands folded near a glass of water he never touched, rehearsing apologies in his mind for a woman who never arrived. Across the room, the billionaire CEO carried her own invisible weight. She had built empires from sleepless nights and fearless decisions, but nothing prepared her for the loneliness that followed success like a shadow. Her assistants had begged her not to bother with blind dates. Yet there she was, elegant and composed, watching minutes stretch into an hour, realizing that even power could not summon someone who chose not to come. The restaurant glowed with polished confidence, but both of them felt exposed in its warmth. He noticed the way she checked her phone less frequently now, the way her shoulders tightened with each passing moment. She noticed his tired eyes, the quiet patience etched into his posture, the kind that comes from bedtime stories and early mornings rather than boardrooms and flights. Neither knew who the other truly was, and that ignorance became the safest ground they had stood on in years. Life had not been gentle to him. After losing his partner, every dream narrowed to one purpose, making sure his child never felt the emptiness he carried. He worked long hours, skipped meals, and learned to fold grief into daily routines. Hope became practical, measured in school lunches and clean clothes. Romance felt like a luxury he could not afford, and yet the ache remained. For her, life had been relentless in a different way. She conquered industries, faced public scrutiny, and learned to trust spreadsheets more than people. Every relationship collapsed under the weight of expectations or fear. People wanted what she had, not who she was, and slowly, she stopped believing she deserved to be seen without her title. The silence between their tables spoke louder than words. The night moved forward, indifferent to their private disappointments, until something shifted. The man's gaze softened with understanding rather than embarrassment, and the woman felt something unfamiliar settle in her chest, a recognition that she was not alone in being forgotten that evening. It wasn't attraction that stirred first, but relief. Relief that failure could be shared. Relief that loneliness didn't always arrive empty-handed. They did not rescue each other with grand gestures or dramatic revelations. Instead, the change began quietly, with attention. With presence. With the kind of listening that asks for nothing in return. The single dad remembered how to sit without rushing, how to breathe without calculating time. The CEO remembered how to be human without performing strength. In that shared stillness, their separate struggles found room to exist without judgment. Days passed, and the memory of that night lingered like a soft echo. Life continued with its demands, but something had been rewired. He found himself smiling more easily, lighter with his child, more open to the future. She approached her world differently too, no longer chasing validation through achievement alone. Each had seen a reflection of their own wounds in the other and realized those wounds did not define the ending. Challenges did not disappear. His responsibilities remained heavy, and her world stayed demanding. Doubt returned often, whispering that connection was temporary and disappointment inevitable. Yet the courage to believe again had already taken root. They learned that healing did not come from being rescued, but from being recognized. From understanding that even missed plans and broken expectations could guide people towards something truer. As seasons changed, so did they. The single dad began to imagine a future that included joy alongside duty. The billionaire CEO began to imagine love without power dynamics, without fear. Neither knew where the path would lead, but both knew they were no longer walking alone inside their own minds. Just before the ending of this story, we have a special request for you. Please comment below and tell us what moment touched you the most, or share a time when life surprised you after disappointment. Your words might be the hope someone else needs today. In the end, the most powerful thing that happened that night was not a meeting of wealth and struggle, or success and sacrifice. It was the meeting of two people who learned that being stood up did not mean being unworthy. That sometimes, the absence of one person makes space for the arrival of something far more meaningful. If this story moved you, made you reflect, or reminded you of your own quiet strength, please like the video, share it, and engage with KNH Stories, because every interaction helps stories of kindness and second chances reach hearts that are